Hey Yang Gang, KMO here with another Out of My Head video. And today, got kind of a grab bag, so I'll try to keep it short, although these are the sorts of videos that can run really long. But there's always the editing. There's always the editing in which to exercise a little self-discipline. I started this year with a resolution that I was going to upload something to YouTube every single day. Now, what do I like to talk about? I like to talk about artificial intelligence and automation. I also like to talk about energy issues. I like to talk about economic issues. I like to talk about pop culture. You don't hear that from me now that I'm talking about Andrew Yang, but did a little bit of that. But everything that I had read and listened to about, how to attract an audience on YouTube said, focus, focus, focus. Have a single topic that people, they come to you as a source of information on that particular topic. And I've been making YouTube videos for a few years now, and I've never been able to commit to a single topic like that, which was why, when I discovered that if I put Andrew Yang's name in the title of a video, a lot more people would watch it than if I just did my usual video where I'm talking about, whatever. And the great thing about Andrew Yang as, something to talk about every day in the Yang campaign is that he has so many different policy proposals on his website, and that so many of them are the things that I like to talk about, so it's just a perfect match. But his having so many policy details on his website presents a vulnerability. I watched a video yesterday, and I'm afraid I don't remember the name of the channel, but I've got a still of it up on screen. It is Andrew Yang failed to see MSNBC Trojan horse. The mainstream corporate media has largely been ignoring Andrew Yang up till now, but now that he's gaining popularity, he's gonna be in the debates in the fall, and Joe Rogan has a huge reach, huge, bigger than any one single cable TV news talk show. So lots and lots of people have heard Andrew Yang on the Joe Rogan podcast, gotten excited about him, and gone to search for more material about him. So, the mainstream news organizations, if you go to YouTube and you search for Andrew Yang, they want you to watch their content. And so now they have to talk about him, and they have to invite him on their programs and interview him. So they have a strategy to keep him from talking about the things that are important, which is he's got all of these different policy proposals on his website. You can comb through them, find a bunch of the quirkier ones, and throw them all up together on screen like this, and totally misrepresent what he is about and make him look like some ridiculous lunatic fringe candidate, which of course he is not. But if you go to the Yang campaign website, it is very clear, very, very clear that the campaign is focused on creating human-centered capitalism through a universal basic income and Medicare for all. Those are his three major policy proposals. But in this video that I saw yesterday, they throw up this slide, and these are things from his platform. Now, notice the slide doesn't say things from his platform. It says Yang campaign platform, defined by term limits, voting age 16, pay college athletes, eliminate the penny, decriminalize opioids, self-driving cars. Does Andrew Yang talk about all those things on his website? Yes. Does that define his campaign? No. Is this the Yang campaign platform? No. This slide is a lie. It is a lie intended to trivialize Andrew Yang and his message. So be aware, now that he is a viable candidate, the mainstream media is going to focus on him, and they are going to try to undercut his message with bullshit like this. Be ready for it. So what can Andrew Yang do when somebody does this to him? Well, hopefully he will learn. In the episode, or in the segment that I saw, he played right into their hands. Not only did they try to characterize his campaign, mischaracterize his campaign by taking, random bits and pieces that are not directly tied to his central focus and presenting them as if they were his central focus, but then the interviewer was also asking him things like, what's your favorite movie, who's your favorite band, that sort of thing. I mean, that satisfies the need to have Andrew Yang on the screen, to have, so they can say, look, we've been covering the guy without actually covering him. It's frustrating. There's nothing you, the audience, the Yang Gang, really need to do except to understand that this is happening. And when it does happen, go into the comments and say, hey, look, I've been to the Yang website. This is not his campaign platform. And Who cares who his favorite band is? Let's talk about the economic need, the insecurity which has caused this country to get stupid, because that's what poverty does. Being poor, being desperate, feeling as though you are in desperate competition with the people around you rather than in cooperative, prosperous interaction with them, causes you to score lower on IQ tests. 13 points lower, as Andrew Yang says, 1 standard deviation lower. Poverty makes you stupid. Fear of economic displacement, fear of instability, just the notion that you don't know what's coming. You don't know how you'll be making a living a few years from now. That sort of stress causes us to be antagonistic toward one another, to factionalize, to tribalize, which, if you look around the social media landscape, that's exactly what we've got. Multiplied by, the social media companies' need to keep us engaged with their products, and they've discovered that, a really effective way to keep us engaged with their products is to get us angry at each other and raging at each other. Oh, it is a perfect storm, and Andrew Yang is a person who can guide us through this perfect storm. He's not the Messiah. The policies, the ideas are what's important, and Andrew Yang would be the first person to tell you that. He said repeatedly that if he gets this message out and some other candidate picks up these policies and wins with them and acts on them, he would be satisfied, as would I. And I don't know that he would necessarily achieve status as some historical figure, but at least I would be grateful to him for having advanced this conversation. That said, I want him to win. I think he can win. Yesterday I was talking about how if you're talking to somebody about Andrew Yang and they say they're not a supporter, they will not support him because X, and they give you, some statement, and that statement is false, the last thing you want to do is get sarcastic with them, get shitty with them, call them a liar. A totally neutral outcome is to just not respond to that at all. Say, oh, okay, and then change the subject and talk about something else, because the conversation about Andrew Yang at that point, and universal basic income, and responding intelligently, anticipating and responding adaptively to the coming wave of automation, that conversation's not over. But if you get in a fight with them, well, the opportunity has been squandered. That person possibly can be brought back around later, but it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder. So I mentioned all this yesterday. I was wearing my Yang 2020 t-shirt, and I had to go to a village meeting here, a village trustees meeting. And, I live in Vermont. This is Bernie Sanders' country. Bernie Sanders will win the Democratic primary in Vermont. There's nothing Andrew Yang can do to change that fact. But whoever the nominee is on the Democratic side will also win this state in the general election. If it's Andrew Yang, Vermonters will vote for Andrew Yang in the general election. So I'm in this weird place where I'm really excited about Andrew Yang, but I live physically in a community which is totally loyal to Bernie Sanders. So I walked into the meeting room in the town hall last night, and the only other person there, because I was the videographer, I went in early to get set up. One of the village trustees is sitting there at the table, and he looks up and he sees me in my Yang 2020 t-shirt, and he just snorts derisively. Just this quick, curt laugh. And then I said, hey, what's up? And then he looks down at the papers that he was reading, and he wouldn't talk to me. And nobody else. Eventually the room filled up, but I talked to a lot of different people, but nobody mentioned my shirt. Nobody asked me about that because, this is Bernie Sanders' country. So, in my daily interactions, one, I know there's no point in trying to climb this hill locally. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people get excited about Yang locally, outside of the fact that maybe they'll be talking with other people on social media, But really, my high leverage point is YouTube. And the best piece of advice I think I can give for, you're in an interaction with somebody, they're not sold on Andrew Yang, and nothing you're saying seems to be bringing them around. One, don't push them. And two, if possible, see if you can get them to listen to Andrew Yang actually speak. Yesterday, in yesterday's video, I had this book up on the shelf behind me. Andrew Yang's book, The War on Normal People. And somebody commented that I should have it displayed more prominently. Well, that's about as prominent as I can get it. I listened to this on audiobook twice before I bought the hardcover, and I only bought the hardcover so that I could make highlights in it. But listening to the audiobook, it's read by Andrew Yang, and you get his voice, you get his personality, you get his conviction, you get his passion, along with a description of the need and the policies that he has come up with to address that need. So if you can get them to listen to the whole Joe Rogan podcast, great. If they listen to the whole thing beginning to end, most likely they will come out of that an Andrew Yang fan. But if you can get them to listen, that's a big ask. It's like a 3-hour podcast. But if you can get them to listen to a 5 or a 10-minute segment, that's a good start. That's enough to start getting people excited. Again, though, the last thing you want to do, if somebody says something that you don't like about Andrew Yang, don't insult them. Don't be sarcastic. I can't stress this enough. Sarcasm is poison. It is total poison if what you want is to change somebody's mind. If you castigate them, if you mock them, if you're sarcastic with them, they will harden in their position. Don't do that. Let them change. And the way you let them change is to let them know that you're interested in their point of view. You're not just looking for some way to force your point of view on them. Okay, well, now I'm just rehashing yesterday's video, so I'm going to stop and say thank you very much for subscribing. Hey, I'm approaching the 1,000 subscriber mark. Prior to a couple weeks ago, it looked as though I was going to end the year still lower than 1,000, and now it looks like by this time next week, I'll be surprised if I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So thanks to all the new subscribers. Any particular video that you really like, please share that with somebody. Share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, share it on Discord or Twitch or wherever you go, wherever you interact with people. Do share my videos, but more importantly, sure, I want to be a big YouTube star, I want to have a big following, but more importantly, if you can get them to watch one video, make it an Andrew Yang video where Andrew Yang himself is speaking, because he is such a good ambassador. He has got just the right blend of humility, conviction, sincerity, and charisma to sell this message. So really, get people in front of Andrew Yang. Let him hear it from the horse's mouth. And, if you just want to stay excited, tune into this channel each day. I'm going to be talking about Andrew Yang from here until the Democratic National Convention next summer. Even if he drops out, I'll still be talking about these issues. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will talk to you again tomorrow.